like the world is completely different than the last time we had the chance to talk to Nigel Farage, including he's an MP, Biden's gone, Harris is in, Trump's the same, somebody took a shot at him. So good to see you. Joining us now for the first time in a long time from London. Nigel, we'll get to UK stuff in a second, but most importantly, congratulations. I watched so many of your rallies on YouTube. I watched what you did. The Happy Warrior was so invigorating to see. Congratulations on what you and Reform were able to achieve, mate.
No, well, thank you. And I'm sorry I've been away for so long, but I have been, as you say, rather busy one way and t'other. The Happy Warrior line is very interesting. You know, the modern liberal left are oh so sincere about absolutely everything. I don't think anyone should tell a joke of any kind at all. If they do, they might get cancelled. And then so many of the conservative movement across the Western world are just a bit dull as well. So, you know, if we can inject a bit of life, a bit of comedy, a bit of fun into what we do, well, isn't that what ordinary folk do when they live their lives? Yeah, we believe in what we believe in. So, yeah, I would love to be thought of as a happy warrior. I always have been, and you know what? I always will be.
Well, and honestly, I was watching this and I was just like sending copies of this to people in Australian politics, just saying this is the type of presentation that you have to have, right? There's lots of serious, there's lots of edge, there's lots of realism about the polls, debates, all the rest of it. I loved it. Now, I've got to ask about Trump. Have you spoken to him since the assassination attempt?
Yes, briefly, but more importantly, I've spoken to the family at some considerable length. I cannot tell you how incandescent with fury they are at what happened. How the hell does somebody with a high-velocity rifle get onto a sloping roof just 120 metres away from where Trump is speaking? How has that ever been allowed to happen? Now, without getting deep into deep state conspiracy theory, what I think we can say is the woman that was appointed head of the Secret Service was put there as a woman who'd worked at a big corporate company, PepsiCo, in charge of their security. It looks very like a modern-day diversity and inclusion job that it does given to somebody on merit, and it very nearly got Trump killed. I didn't used to believe in miracles, Paul, but after what happened on that day, I think now I do.
And that image of him holding up and fight. I know that we're living at this breakneck speed, but that is an image that will live forever. And the idea that he didn't know what had happened, and we all know that adrenaline means you may not know where you've been hit and how long you've been hit. That could have been his final moments. And for him to instinctively show fight, that was the moment when, like, even sort of never Trumper righties that I know in Australia went, you know what? That's literal courage under fire, and now I'm all in.
Yeah, I mean, you can never tell how any of us would react. You know, we've been drafted into the army, we're told to go over the top. Whatever it may be, you never know how anyone's going to react until they're actually there. What he showed in that moment was the man that I know. I said on stage in the 2020 presidential election in Phoenix, I pointed at Trump and I said, this is the bravest man that I've ever met. And my goodness me, didn't he prove it that day in Pennsylvania? Totally extraordinary. And one thinks of the historic Iwo Jima image of them raising the flag after this tens of thousands of Americans died fighting the Japanese, and there's a statue in DC of the Iwo Jima moment. But that was actually staged for a photographer. Trump doing that and saying fight, that was him. It tells you who he is. He may not be perfect, but my goodness me, he's got the courage of a lion. And right now, with the threats we face, be it from Russia or China, or perhaps the most serious of all, Iran, what the Western world needs is a strong, brave leader. Peace only comes through strength, not weakness.
So how does he take on Harris? Because Harris is in this media bubble where she's not going to be asked a tough question. There will be the debate. Where, when, we'll all find out. How does he take her on when the media won't even let his attacks begin?
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, she's now the darling of the media. That was entirely predictable. Corporate money is flowing in. Again, what would you expect? Mainstream media not giving Trump, an even break. Well, hey, what's changed? Yeah. I mean, it was the same way against Hillary. Nothing's really changed at all. We're just back to normal, really, because ultimately Biden had to go. And I mean, frankly, shame on Kamala Harris and others for lying to the American people by saying that their president was competent and up to the job, when very clearly he hadn't been for a considerable period of time. It's a funny thing, you know, if you're a strong alpha male figure, if you're seen to too overtly attack a woman, it just doesn't look or feel right. So the Trump campaign need to think about how they do that. However, they will be helped because every single potential banana skin that's on the floor between now and November the 5th, don't worry, Harris will tread on it. She is a very, very poor candidate. She got nowhere in the primaries in her own party when she ran, you know, for the presidential nomination and when Biden got it. And talk about DEI, as I mentioned earlier with the head of the Secret Service. I mean, Biden said, I'm going to pick a black woman to be the vice presidential running mate, as if to say, ability no longer matters. Yeah. We just pick someone because we're ticking boxes. Honestly, I think under fire, she'll make terrible mistakes. We'll hear that sort of hyena-like nervous laugh that she does. I don't think this is difficult. And, you know, even if the lovies on the coasts think she's wonderful, remember this. The presidential election will be won or lost in the Midwest, the old industrial states. That is why J.D. Vance, right? That is why the working class boy from Ohio who wrote Hillbilly Elegy, that is why he's been picked as the vice presidential candidate. I'm not, Paul, concerned at all.
Well, we will dig into all of that next week. I'm over time, but thanks for the chat, mate. Do appreciate it. We'll talk to Nigel again next week.